I worked so hard for this dress. Months of saving, cutting back, sacrificing, and when I finally got it, it was perfect. A dream come true. But then she happened. One mistake, one careless moment. And just like that, everything I worked for was ruined. I was devastated, furious, and I demanded she take responsibility. But my family? They turned against me. Now I'm stuck. Was I too harsh? Should I have just let it go? Or was I right to stand my ground? I need to know. Did I go too far? Am I the asshole? Ever since I was little, I've dreamed of wearing the perfect dress. Not just any dress, something elegant, timeless, and truly special. For years, I imagined myself in a vintage-style evening gown, something that made me feel like I had stepped out of a classic movie. When I finally found it, I knew it was the one. A pale blue gown with delicate silver accents, flowing fabric that moved like water, and intricate beading that shimmered under the light. It was stunning. The kind of dress that made my heart race just looking at it. The only problem? It wasn't cheap, I wasn't rich, so affording it was no easy task. I spent months saving up, cutting back on little luxuries and taking on extra shifts at work. Every dollar I set aside brought me closer to my goal. And finally, after what felt like forever, I bought it. $500, a fortune for me, but worth every penny. The moment I tried it on, I knew I had made the right decision. It fit perfectly, hugging me in all the right places while still feeling comfortable. When I looked at myself in the mirror, I felt beautiful. More than that, I felt proud. This wasn't just a dress. It was the result of my hard work, my patience, and my determination. I was saving it for a special occasion, my university's annual formal gala. It was going to be the highlight of the year, a night where everyone dressed up and celebrated. I couldn't wait. At the time, I thought nothing could ruin that excitement. But then came my sister, Emma, and everything changed. Emma, my 17-year-old sister, has always been the trendy one in the family. She's constantly keeping up with the latest fashion, testing out new makeup looks and jumping on whatever TikTok challenge is blowing up that week. It's her thing, and honestly, I admire her creativity. When she saw my dress hanging in my room, her eyes lit up. "Oh my God, this is gorgeous," she said, running her fingers over the delicate fabric. "Can I try it on?" I hesitated. I loved Emma, but she could be careless, especially when it came to clothes. She once borrowed my favorite sweater and returned it stretched out and stained with foundation. But she was persistent. "Please, just for a minute. I won't mess it up, I promise." I wanted to say no, but she looked so genuinely excited. After all, it was just trying it on. What harm could it do? Still, I made my conditions crystal clear. No makeup, no food, no drinks. And most importantly, she had to stay in my room. I didn't want her parading around the house in it. She agreed immediately, practically squealing as she grabbed the dress and ran to put it on. I watched as she carefully slipped it over her head, and for a moment I relaxed. She wasn't jumping around or being reckless. She twirled in front of the mirror, admiring how the fabric flowed around her. "It's perfect," she said, her voice full of awe. I smiled, feeling a little less anxious. Maybe I had been too paranoid. Maybe, for once, Emma would actually be careful. Or at least, that's what I thought. I left Emma alone for what I thought would be a few minutes. I had no reason to worry. She had promised to be careful, and I had been so clear about the rules. But when I walked back into my room about an hour later, my stomach dropped. Emma was standing there, panic written all over her face, a small bottle of nail polish remover clutched in her hand. My heart pounded as my eyes fell on my dress. A massive pink stain spread across the front of the fabric. The delicate pale blue material was ruined, blotched with a garish splash of color that had no business being there. I barely processed her frantic explanations. "I was just taking some pictures, just a few. I didn't mean to spill it. I thought I could fix it before you got back." Her voice cracked, and I saw the desperate look in her eyes, but all I felt was shock. I stepped forward, my hands trembling as I touched the stain. It wasn't just a spill. She had tried to scrub it out, smearing the pink deeper into the fibers. The dress wasn't just stained, it was destroyed. I inhaled sharply, trying to steady myself. "Emma," I said slowly, my voice colder than I expected. "I told you. No makeup, no food, no drinks." I know. she sobbed. "I was being so careful, I swear." But then I saw my nails needed a touch-up for the pictures and my head snapped up. "You were doing your nails? In my dress?" She winced. "I thought it would be fine." Fine, that's what she thought. That's what she always thought. But this time, she had crossed a line. And I wasn't about to let it slide. I felt my chest tighten as I stared at the ruined fabric. The dress that I had worked so hard for, that I had dreamed of wearing, was completely destroyed. My hands curled into fists, nails digging into my palms as I fought to stay calm. Emma was crying now, her words stumbling over each other. "I didn't mean to. I thought I could fix it before you saw. I was going to..." I held up a hand, cutting her off. "Do you have any idea how much this cost me?" My voice shook, but not from sadness. From anger. She sniffled, nodding. I know, but I don't have that kind of money. I didn't do it on purpose." I took a deep breath, trying to control the fire building inside me. "It doesn't matter if it was an accident, Emma. You didn't listen. You did exactly what I told you not to do." She looked down at the floor, her face red and blotchy from crying. "I'm sorry," she whispered. But sorry wasn't enough. Not this time. I squared my shoulders. "You have two options. Either you get it professionally cleaned and pay for it, or you pay me back for the dress. Because I can't wear this now. It's ruined." Her eyes widened in horror. "But I don't have that kind of money." "Then figure it out," I snapped. "You wanted to wear it and you didn't take care of it. That's on you." She sobbed harder, covering her face with her hands. But I didn't back down. I couldn't. Because if I let this go, what message would that send? That she could destroy something important to me and walk away without consequences? No. Not this time. It didn't take long for my parents to hear about what happened. Emma ran straight to them, still crying, while I stayed in my room, staring at the dress in disbelief. I didn't even know where to start. Was there any hope of fixing it? Or had I just lost months of hard work in a single careless mistake? Before I could even process my next step, my mom stormed into my room, her face set in that tight-lipped expression she got whenever she was about to scold me. My dad followed, looking more exasperated than angry. Emma trailed behind them, sniffling. "She told us what happened," my mom said, arms crossed. "It was an accident." I scoffed. An accident that could have been avoided if she had just listened to me. I held up the dress, the pink stain glaring against the pale fabric. "Look at this. It's ruined." Dad sighed. "We get that you're upset, but she didn't do it on purpose. She feels bad enough already." I shook my head. "That doesn't change the fact that I spent months saving for this. She needs to take responsibility." Emma let out another sob. "I don't have $500. I can't afford that." Mom turned back to me. "You know that, so why are you pushing this? She's still a kid. You're the older one here. Can't you be a little more understanding?" I clenched my jaw. Understanding? So I'm just supposed to suck it up and take the loss? That's not fair. Dad rubbed his temples. "Maybe you two can split the cost of cleaning or repairs." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I wasn't the one who ruined the dress. Why should I have to pay for anything? But it was clear my parents weren't on my side, and that only made me more determined to stand my ground. I refused to back down. Emma is the one who ruined it. She should be the one to pay for it. My voice was firm, but inside I could feel my frustration bubbling over. Emma let out a choked sob. "That's not fair. I don't have money like you do." That hit a nerve. I let out a bitter laugh. "Money like me? Emma, I worked for this. I sacrificed for months to afford this dress. You think I just had $500 lying around?" Mom sighed, pinching the bridge of her nose. "You're making such a big deal out of this, sweetie. It was an accident. She's your sister." "That doesn't mean she gets a free pass," I shot back. "If I had ruined something of hers, you'd be making me replace it." Dad tried to play the peacemaker. "Let's be reasonable. She's still a teenager. Maybe she can pay you back little by little." I crossed my arms. "Fine. But she has to pay me back, even if it takes her a year." Emma shook her head violently. "That's not fair. I don't want to." Mom put a hand on her shoulder. "And she won't. You're being too harsh. You're ruining the family vibe over a dress." I stared at them in disbelief. "So what? I'm just supposed to accept that my dress is ruined and move on?" Dad sighed. Sometimes we have to let things go. Emma sniffled, looking at me with wide, pitiful eyes. But all I could feel was anger. No one seemed to care about what I had lost, and that hurt more than anything. I didn't want to fight with my family, but I also couldn't just let this go. My dress was ruined, and no one seemed to care except me. So, I tried to offer compromises. If you can't pay me back all at once, fine, I said, trying to stay calm. But you need to do something. Help cover the cleaning costs at least. Emma bit her lip, looking at Mom and Dad for support. Mom shook her head. You know professional cleaning might not even work. It's not worth the cost. I exhaled sharply. Then she can work off the debt, do extra chores, babysit, get a part-time job. Something. Emma looked horrified. A job? You want me to work over a dress? I threw my hands up. Emma, it's not just a dress. It's my hard-earned money, my time, my effort. I'm not asking for anything unreasonable. I just want you to take responsibility. But my parents weren't having it. She's too young for that kind of pressure, Dad said. She already has school and extracurriculars. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. So what about me? I had school and work, and I still saved up for this dress. Why does she get a free pass? Mom sighed. Because you're older. You understand these things better. Emma made a mistake, but punishing her won't fix your dress. I felt like I was talking to a brick wall. No matter what solution I offered, my parents shot it down. Emma just stood there, her face a mix of guilt and relief. Guilt because she knew she was wrong, and relief because she knew she wasn't going to have to do anything about it. I swallowed the lump in my throat. So that's it? She ruined something of mine, and I just have to deal with it? No one answered. And that silence told me everything I needed to know. As the days passed, I expected to cool down. Maybe I would wake up one morning and feel differently. Maybe I would decide my parents were right, that I was overreacting, that it was just a dress. But that never happened. Instead, the more I thought about it, the angrier I got. Not just at Emma, but at my parents too. They made me feel like I was the bad guy for expecting basic accountability. Was that really so unreasonable? Still, the guilt crept in. Emma barely spoke to me now. She avoided me at the dinner table, didn't bother trying to talk to me when we passed each other in the house. I could tell she was hurt, but was it really my fault? One night, Mom sat down next to me on the couch with that gentle, coaxing tone she used when she wanted me to give in. You know Emma looks up to you, right? I kept my eyes on my phone. Doesn't seem like it. She made a mistake, Mom continued. And I know you're upset, but is it really worth damaging your relationship over? That was the thing. I didn't want to damage our relationship. I loved my sister. But why was I the only one expected to compromise? Why was I the one who had to make things better? I sighed, rubbing my temples. I just don't think it's fair. Mom gave me a small smile. Life isn't always fair, sweetie. Sometimes we just have to forgive and move on. I didn't answer, because deep down, I wasn't sure if I could. Feeling stuck, I decided to ask my friends what they thought. Maybe I was being too stubborn. Maybe I needed an outside perspective. I told them everything. How hard I worked for the dress, how Emma ignored my rules, how my parents expected me to just let it go. The responses were mixed. One friend, Lisa, was on my side immediately. She ruined something expensive. She should take responsibility. That's just common sense. But another friend, Jake, hesitated. Yeah, but she's only 17. It was an accident. Making her pay the full price seems kind of harsh. I frowned. So what, I should just eat the cost? He shrugged. I mean, yeah, she's your sister. I get that it sucks, but is $500 worth ruining your relationship over? That question stuck with me. Was I really ruining our relationship? Or was I just asking for basic fairness? I still felt like Emma should do something, anything to make up for it. But was I being too rigid, too unwilling to bend? I went home that night feeling even more conflicted than before. Maybe my parents were wrong for expecting me to let it go. Maybe Emma was wrong for not taking responsibility. But maybe, just maybe, I was wrong too. Now here I am, still wondering if I did the right thing. Emma hasn't spoken to me much since it happened. My parents still think I'm being too harsh, and honestly, I don't know how to feel anymore. On one hand, I know I was right to expect her to take responsibility. She ruined something valuable to me, something I worked hard for. It feels unfair that I should just accept the loss while she walks away without consequences. But on the other hand, she's my sister. I don't want this to permanently damage our relationship. And maybe my parents have a point. Maybe I'm holding on to this too tightly. Maybe $500 isn't worth all this tension in my family. I still haven't decided what to do. Part of me wants to stand my ground, to keep insisting that Emma pay me back in some way. Another part of me wonders if letting go is the only way to move forward. So now I'm asking, am I the asshole for making my younger sister pay for my dream dress after she ruined it? Or should I just let it go?